Assalamualaikum guys, kembali lagi ke channel saya Ceralik. Kepada yang baru menonton di channel ini, semoga panjang umur, murahkan rezeki dan dipermudahkan segala urusan guys. Amin, amin ya rabbal alamin. Jadi sekarang kita akan membuat reaction ataupun kita tengok satu video ini daripada apa tuh channel
One Part Network.
Dia cerita dia guys, memang the best cerita dia tentang
Indonesia. Bagaimanakah Indonesia menjadi negara Muslim yang terbesar di dalam dunia?
Iya, itu dia punya tajuk kalau bahasa Melayu lah. Tapi ini di sini dia bahasa Inggris. How did Indonesia against the largest Muslim population on earth? Guys, dia punya tajuk, dia ada sini dia tulis Inggris. Jadi tanpa buang masa, jom kita lanjut ke videonya dalam kiraan 3, 2, 1. Ini dia Arabian
Today, that's a
Arabian
population of
Peninsula.
78 million people. That sounds like a lot of Muslims, but if we go 7,500 kilometers across the Indian Ocean to this tiny little archipelago called Indonesia, the Muslim population is far greater than just 78 million. It's actually more than double that. In fact, right now, Indonesia has a Muslim population of over 200 million.
Oke guys, di sini kita tengok dia punya populasi Islam dari Indonesia memang banyak guys. Dia 200.
Nah, belum lagi termasuk
juta.
termasuk Malaysia dengan selatan Filipina.
Banyak guys.
Kalau ini dicampur semua selatan Filipina dengan Malaysia, enak.
Oke guys, kita lanjut, kita tengok dia punya video. Memang habis ceritanya.
Put that into perspective, that's larger than Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, Syria, Jordan, Iraq, and Egypt combined. Right now, the island of Indonesia holds the largest more than any other country in the world. So, how did this happen? How does Indonesia have so many Muslims? And more importantly, how did these remote islands right above Australia, almost 8,000 kilometers away from Arabia, receive the message of Islam and then embrace it with open arms? Well, let's find out. One thing to keep in mind is that historians and archaeologists have no agreed upon explanation for the spread of Islam in Indonesia and the rest of Southeast Asia. So, there was never one reason for the conversion of Indonesia to Islam. Okay, now we've got that out of the way. Let me tell you something interesting. The Muslims never conquered Indonesia. It actually happened much differently, and it didn't just happen overnight. And historically speaking, it happened only recently. The first piece of evidence that marks the earliest existence of Islam in Indonesia is this tombstone right here, on this island called Sumatra. This is a 13th century tombstone of a local ruler called Sultan Malik al-Saleh. Malik had adopted an Arabic name and the Arabic title of Sultan when he and his population decided to embrace Islam. Here's what's amazing about this tombstone. It's designed with patterns that are typical to this Indian state, all the way over here called Gujarat. So how did this Indonesian tombstone become somehow linked with this Indian state over here? Well, the Muslims of Gujarat were known to be these risk-taking traders who would go on these far and incredibly dangerous expeditions. They formed these trade routes, which were also used as a means of spreading Islam to far regions around the world, like Indonesia. And so, the whole Muslim world now had access to Indonesia, and trade relationships formed. This brought migration from various Muslim countries. But it wasn't just trade that brought Islam to Indonesia. Like for instance, there was this guy, Zenghi, a Muslim Chinese admiral who sailed with these massive fleet of gigantic mega ships. During the 15th century, he would go on these epic voyages all across the Indian Ocean to form diplomatic ties and trade partnerships with other countries. He would take nearly 30,000 men on his 317 ships to more than 35 countries, presenting China and all of its treasures to the world. His story is actually quite amazing, but that's a story for another time. Anyway, as Zheng He traveled with his football stadium-sized fleet, he would make a series of stops across the world like Sumatra and Java in Indonesia. And so, he made a huge impression on the native
Ini dia punya cerita macam
macam sejarah lah.
Iya, dia sejarah
Ya.
dulu-dulu lah kan,
Iya.
macam mana apa pertama kali
Macam mana kedatangan orang Islam.
kedatangan orang Islam pergi ke Indonesia, macam tu
Indonesia.
cerita dia.
Dia bilang situ mungkin melalui perdagangan, perusahaan, macam begitu.
Iya.
Jadi tempat-tempat tuh jadi macam persinggahan lah. Macam sejarah Johor nih dulu, Malaysia.
Kita lanjut guys.
Indonesians, and
Sampai
is
habis
often
dokumentari
credited
kami mau.
for spreading Islam in Indonesia. Okay, so Islam spread to Indonesia. But how's that different to any other country? Trade can only do so much to help spread Islam. It still doesn't explain why Indonesia has the highest number of Muslims. This is where good old economics comes in.
No.
No,
The Indonesians
ekonomi.
lived on these tiny remote islands that weren't really good for cultivating food and produce, and so they paid tribute to their Hindu and Buddhist neighbors on the mainland for precious goods like rice. But the Indonesians didn't want to pay the Hindu and Buddhist rulers anymore, and so they looked to their Muslim friends in the Middle East and Africa. In order to form solid political ties with Muslims, they began to embrace Islam. And why not? The natives enjoyed access to a huge Muslim trading network. This gave them Muslim allies, trading opportunities, and a unique prestigious position within the region. And so, island after island, king after king,
No.
Indonesians embraced Islam by the droves.
Minangkabau.
The conversion rate
Minangkabau.
was insane, as mosques were being erected and the adhan was
Toraja
being called
Muslim.
all across the islands. So did the Indonesians embrace Islam to enjoy all these wonderful perks and benefits? Well, no,
Dia sebut tadi
not
Philippines.
really. Indonesia didn't just passively embrace a new religion for materialistic
Indonesia
reasons. Instead, they
Pilgrims.
opened their arms to Islam and let its teachings influence their culture, language, food,
Arab.
and even martial arts. This is why Indonesia has the most amount of Muslims than any other country in the world, because they found something beautiful in the message of Islam and were honored by it. The story of Indonesia proves that Islam doesn't need to spread through conquering, but by having good character and showing good treatment. This is why there are over 200 million Muslims living there today.
200
May
million
Allah bless
Muslims.
the people of Indonesia.
If you enjoyed this video along with all the other content that One Path Network produces, please support us so we can create more beneficial content for the world. Go to onepathnetwork.com and you can support us from as little as $1 a day. Jazakumullah khair for your support.
Lagi banyak daripada negeri-negeri Arab.
Oke guys, kita sudah tengok dia punya video tadi tuh yang tentang Indonesia, kedatangan Arab di Indonesia, kedatangan dia jadi Muslim lah kan, begitu cerita dia.
Nah, kita orang Islam nih wajib lah tengok benda-benda macam nih, sejarah-sejarah macam mana.
Betul guys. Jadi kita nih biar nampak soal sejarah mesti kita tengok guys. Jadi kita tahu ya macam mana yang dulu tuh kan. Sebab sekarang ini jarang sudah yang orang-orang tua menceritakan tentang yang dulu. Hanya kita tengok di media sosial lah, begitu kan. Jarang sudah. Oke guys, sudah daripada kami. Siapa yang belum subscribe, tekan tombol bel supaya tidak ketinggalan kayak punya video-video seterusnya. Yang sudah subscribe tuh terima kasih banyak-banyak. Jadi apa pendapat kamu tadi? Ada lagi kah?
Ada banyak.
Coba ceritakan sedikit-sedikit.
Cantik lah, macam cara orang-orang Arab nih menjejah, dia tidak menjejah secara macam dia menyampaikan agama itu, dia macam berusaha datang ke tempat berusaha berdagang macam tuh. Kalau negara-negara yang lainnya macam yang dulu lah, orang ini macam menjejah. Nah, betul. Ini pula bagusnya orang-orang Arab.
Betul guys. Oke guys, sudah daripada kami. Sekian, terima kasih. Bye bye.
Iya, bye-bye.
Terima kasih karena sudah subscribe. Jangan lupa tekan tombol lonceng.